Welcome back to the Nerdrotic podcast. My name is Gary Buechler. I'm live in San Francisco, California. I come to you from nerdrotic.com and down in San Diego, just receiving his Amazon package right before we went live. Dennis Bithoulkas. Oh, no. Hang on. God, I always forget that. It's terrible. What a shitty start that was. Hi, Dennis.
Hey. Did you get the audio?
I forgot I had the other one on for the chat, so I started hearing myself. I'm like, oh no, what did I do? How's it going, Dennis?
I'm doing all right. Man, I just did the same thing actually because I was opening it up for the chat window there, and I feel your pain.
Yeah, you forget to put that old mute on with the delay, and you're like, why am I hearing myself right now?
Exactly.
This is why we're not professionals, ladies and gentlemen. So this is the Nerdrotic podcast, episode 116. And this is where we talk about everything. Usually we recap television episodes. You might subscribe to us for a specific episode. This is where we talk about movie stuff, comic stuff, all the nerd, geek, fandom news, everything that's going on. Sometimes we dive deep into, like the goings-ons of Hollywood. We don't get into gossip. We like to talk about like studios buying each other and stuff like that. So if that kind of stuff bores you, then just stick with the recaps. But yeah, we kind of talk about everything, and it's open for a chat. We wait for people to come in and bring up the subjects themselves, and the people guide this podcast. If anybody joins, we don't know. We were on kind of late tonight, so
yeah. And also we said we were going to talk about Shield, Agents of Shield, episode 5. Unfortunately, we couldn't get it in time, so we haven't done that. We'll probably talk about episodes 1 through 4 for season 5, just to
we can discuss it a little bit. Yeah,
and that's pretty much about it. Unfortunately, we just didn't get a chance to be able to watch it beforehand because it comes out late here on the West Coast for us. To start off with, the TV show Arrow once again cannot use the character Deathstroke temporarily for right now because Deathstroke, the character, is being used in the DC Justice League movie or whatever the sequel is to the Justice League. And again, this is because WB thinks that the fans will get confused by having two different Deathstrokes in two different medium.
Because they're not going to get confused by the Flash?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you got to remember, one Flash is actually really good, which is the one on TV, and the other Flash is really crappy, which is the proto mustache, dude that was in Justice, with the tin can suit that he had on.
Yeah, there's no confusing those two. And honestly, the Deathstroke in the Flash, in the Arrowverse and in Justice League do look a lot alike.
Yes.
Okay. But what if you're confused? You're confused by two things you're going to watch? I don't get the logic of this.
I don't either.
Well, Hollywood does think their audience is stupid. And that's arguable. But only in some aspects. That's the problem you have when you buy these properties and you want to put them on TV and in movies. And we're going to talk about this later. I think movies as a medium is kind of dead as far as being pushed forward, being, I don't know, cutting edge, being anything new. It's been a long time. It's been a long, long time. I still think the period between like 1969 and 1987 was like the golden age of just storytelling and great movies. And I think we're just long past it. Long past it. We had a nice little resurgence in the mid 90s, I believe. But honestly, it's been adaptations. And that's how movies started back in the old days. They used to just adapt books, and that's fine too. And not that TV's not doing adaptations, but TV is just doing it better, in my opinion. That's why we've decided this. We wrapped this whole channel around television.
Yeah.
We had a lot to choose from. We're like, hey, are we going to do comics? Are we going to review movies? And we did all of those things. Not really we talked about comics a lot, but the best reaction we've gotten over the last 4 years is just us talking about particular TV shows. And it's
stuff that interests us.
Yeah, stuff that interests us, and it interests other people. And we try to do kind of offbeat TV shows. Yes, we cover the Game of Thrones and stuff like that, but we also like to cover Happy and Mr. Robot, and hopefully turn people on to that.
And also, this is stuff that we used to talk about in the comic book store, because we used to talk about TV shows, movies, all that kind of stuff. And honestly, in the comic book store, we used to talk a lot about TV shows. You had stuff running on, when you had the store the last couple of years there, you were running just series of TV shows on the TV.
I set up a video system. Like I used to work in the warehouse records when I was a kid. So we put video screens in each corner and had an audio system in there, and I was running Doctor Who nonstop, any superhero movie, the old Spider-Man TV show, like anything. So the X-Men cartoon, there was something going at all times. And yeah, you know what? When people come in and buy their comics, they would talk about comics, and we talk about TV just as much. And the comic store, if you're just joining us, the comic store we're talking about is the one I used to own in San Francisco called the Comic Outpost. It still exists. It's called the Comics Experience Outpost. Brian Hibbs from the Comics Experience purchased it for me in December of 2013, which, man, it's been 4 years since I sold it. Wow, that was 4 years. And here we are. And this podcast was actually born from that. So, and don't worry, we're not, this isn't, God, I'm not, okay, false news. I won't use the other term. It's so played out. About our title, we will be getting, our main subject tonight will be Star Wars again. I didn't think we'd get this much traction out of it, but there's still a lot to be said.
There's a lot of stuff in the news. Yeah.
A lot of stuff.
People are talking about it constantly, and quite honestly, the producers, directors, everybody keeps bringing it up in the news again. So, we're talking about it.
We're going to talk about it right after we get through some news topics here. So what else we got, man?
So there's a Grinch prequel animated movie that's coming out. So about the Grinch as a child, I guess, and how he became the Grinch. And I don't know about you, but you remember the movie, how the Grinch stole, or the book is about the commercialization of Christmas, and it's very anti-consumer. Anti-commercialization, I should say, not anti-consumer. So this whole commercialization of a character from a book about commercialization is kind of what the definition of irony is, correct?
Yeah, not the Alanis Morissette version.
Yeah.
Which is coincidence.
Yeah. Every time you hear this, you see this trailer play, you can hear Dr. Seuss do about 3,500 RPM.
Excuse me. I hope my cough button worked on that one.
No, it didn't.
Still there. It didn't. Damn it. Sorry. Okay, so Dr. Seuss. Funny thing about Dr. Seuss, Dennis.
Yeah.
Another thing I might have mentioned before is my father knew Ted Geisel. He was his accountant. Met Ted Geisel a few times, and he is the kind of guy who would have hated this stuff. He was not he would have. He was the version of kind of a social justice warrior back then. I know a lot of people have accused him of having the racist cartoons from which they kind of were from World War II, but those were the times. It's really hard to judge people with modern standards. You know what I mean? Back during World War II. So Ted Geisel was kind of a hippie, okay, and not really. He was kind of anti-establishment guy. All right. That's why he loved my dad, because my dad would take care of all those numbers for him that he didn't give a. My dad got the job because he found it a mistake that another accountant made that cost him $25,000 of like 1970s money, which was a lot. Wow. Yeah. So my dad had that job for life. And that library that you work near, yep. My dad helped get that thing going at UCSD. And yeah, so Ted Geisel would hate this. I can tell you that right now. and it's funny. But that just gets to levels like, we need another prequel. Like we need a hole in the head, to be honest with you. Of anything, I'm tired of prequels. Please stop.
Yeah, I am too, and it just really, especially this in and of itself. I thought that the Mike Myers movie or the Jim Carrey movie, excuse me, whatever it was, had finally put the nail in the coffin on this one, but no, it didn't. It's
no. What's weird is Ron Howard bugged Audrey Geisel forever because she said no and no and no and no, and then after it came out. That's why I'm surprised the Cat in the Hat came out, because my dad had passed. Since my dad died when the Grinch was being made, he had a little bit to do with that, and then he passed away. So I don't know how they got to Audrey to do the Cat in the Hat afterwards with Mike Myers, because I know she was just not for it, and she wasn't happy at all with the Grinch Stole Christmas at all.
Hold on just one moment.
Dennis is getting packages live on the podcast.
Do you want to let me out the gate? Just use the code if you.
So,
did you drive?
While Dennis works this out live on the air, ladies and gentlemen. So Ted Geisel was not a fan of commercialism.
I have to be back in a moment.
Made a lot of money. So, but he made a lot of money beforehand. So, hey guys, I'm loving Happy so far, but the ratings are concerning. It's getting a 0.5 to 1 million viewers. How good is that for Sci-Fi? Do you think it will be renewed? That's actually pretty good for Sci-Fi. 1 million viewers. If you go under 1 million viewers, it's But when it premiered, it was the highest rated show on Sci-Fi. Cable shows tend to not get a lot of views. I know Walking Dead, Game of Thrones average 6 to 10 million. Those are mega hits when it comes to cable. With Sci-Fi, I think that is good enough to get renewed. The word I've gotten from Derek Robertson, it is really well received at the network. The critics love it, so they think they can get a lot of profit on the back end of it from Blu-ray sales, putting it on their app or whatever you download. So I think Happy's going to do real good. Now it depends on what the drop off is per episode, and I don't know what it has been since it premiered. Derek seems to think Derek Robertson is the artist who co-created Happy. He seems to think it will get a second season, and I have to admit I am surprised, because I'm a huge fan of Derek Robertson. I'm a huge fan of this comic book, but I did not think it would make it. I was interested to see what it was going to be series wise, but I had no idea it would be this good. And Christopher Maloney is just absolutely selling it. It is the role of his life. And the decision to put Patton Oswalt in as the voice of Happy, he replaced some guy from Saturday Night Live, I can't remember his name, was genius. And the funny thing is that Patton and Derek are buds. They used to Derek used to do Patton's flyers for when he was a nobody comedian. And excuse me here, I got a cough. I'm going to turn it down. Sorry. Okay. And yeah, so it's kind of cool that they're on a show together now. When they were buds here in San Francisco, Patton used to live here in my hometown, and Derek used to live here now, or back then. And it's just cool how this show has come together. And Grant Morrison has turned out to be quite a TV writer. He's heavily involved in this show, and it's coming off. I kind of like it better than the comic, and I love the comic. So speaking of which, Derek was supposed to be on our he had semi-committed to being on our Happy recaps, but he couldn't do us to a scheduling conflict. And it's also my schedule too. Like, my schedule's tight. It actually wasn't his, it was mine. So he's going to be on in January. We're going to be talking about The Boys and some other comic stuff he's going to be doing. But he did send us some gifts that we're going to give away during the Happy, our last recap of the last episode of Happy. So he sent a sketch of Happy. He sent a full set of Happy 1 through 4 with variants, all signed. Number 1 has a Happy sketch on it, and on top of that, this is like an awesome prize package. So chances are we're going to give it to whoever comments during the season of our happy recaps. And what we do is we take all those commenters, we put their names in a hat, and we pick one, and then we contact you or have you contact us via email, and we mail it to you for free. We don't charge you anything. So we also got the Art of the Boys signed by Derek as well. So that's the Art of the Boys, happy 1 through 4 with all variants, and an original sketch by Derek Robertson, which is really good stuff, right?
Yeah.
And he did not need to send that stuff. He is Derek is like one of the good guys, like one of the 100% good guys in comics, and doesn't get enough work in my opinion, and should, because he's oh my God, when you see that guy work, I had the privilege of watching him work a little bit. And yeah, he doesn't he uses like maybe a picture for a frame of reference on a face or something, but he doesn't use 3D models. He doesn't use Light Table. He does not use Photoshop. He inks everything, pen and paper. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. So you're back.
I'm back. Sorry about that.
All right.
I live in a gated complex, and of course the guy drove in instead of actually using the keypad, which I had on the package itself. That was the Amazon delivery guy who got locked in. So back to the news. Chew from Image Comics was originally slated to be an animated movie. That's no longer the case. It's now being shopped around again as a TV series.
Not surprised with that at all, because I thought it was going to be a movie with David Tennant. What happened to that?
He was going to voice it. That was supposed to be the animated movie with.
He was voicing the animated. I still think it would probably be better as an animated movie. Although I don't know, as a TV, I think it'll work as a TV show, but then I think it'll just be iZombie. I think that's the problem they're having with that.
It's going to be a police procedural. Yeah, it'll be iZombie. Exactly.
It's iZombie. Like, so I have a hard time thinking this is going to get made, because everybody's going to say, well, isn't this just iZombie?
Exactly.
And it's really different, and it's a great comic book. I mean, no doubt about it. That thing, man, did that sell in my comic store. I don't know what happened since I've sold. Well, I mean, honestly, if there was a good time to sell a comic store, I did it.
Yeah,
I think, because it had a good year after I sold, and then it just went in the toilet. And I don't know what happened, but when right before I sold the store, Image Comics were blowing up. There was a speculator market, like people were buying number ones. Millar World was kicking ass. Saga was still good. Chew was out. God, there was just so many good things. Marvel Now was okay. You know, I sold right at the starting of the Axel Alonso era. So I got all the good stuff that was left over from Quesada. And I know Quesada gets a lot of hate, primarily for One More Day, the Amazing Spider-Man run. But if you set that aside, like, he had a really great run. He did.
Oh yeah,
I know some people disagree with me, but as a retailer, he made us a lot of money. So thank you, Joe Quesada. I just want to say thank you. And he helped bring back Marvel, because it was in the toilet when he brought it back. But unfortunately, it's kind of back in. I would kind of wish they would bring him back. But CB Cebulski looks like he's trying to take charge. He's in transition, but
yeah,
he's had a little problem.
He's been catching a lot of flack lately for some past stuff, which we're not going to go over here. So
no, and I think it's bullshit anyway. So whatever.
Speaking of Derek Robertson that we were talking about earlier, his book The Boys is going to be made over at Amazon, and we have some casting news. Erin Moriarty is being cast as Starlight.
That's great. She we saw a picture of her. I don't know if I can bring it up while I'm talking, but she looks like the part. I'm very excited about it. I'm glad to see The Boys is being made. We want to talk about something long in development that's taken forever. It was going to be a movie with Adam McKay. Then it was going to be a TV series on AMC, and then it was supposed to be on Cinemax. And then it got
HBO
Cinemax. I am so glad it's going to be at Amazon, because for one, it's not going to get, the production will follow through. And the one thing with Amazon and Netflix is they have tons of money right now. So they're not going to pull a plug on something fast, and they'll let something develop. This is going to be something that's going to have to develop, and it's going to be for a particular audience. It's going to be for your Punisher audience or your Preacher audience or your Happy audience. It's going to be that kind of show. Think of it as, I don't know. I would say if the government decided to fight back against the Watchmen, that's, or think, I mean, it's super topical right now with the Me Too movement and everything, and with, the veil being lifted on Hollywood.
It's kind of like behind the scenes. It's almost like behind the music, only with superheroes.
Yeah. So think of superheroes as celebrities, the current modern celebrities, and they're just out of control. And there's the government decides to recruit some people to take care of that, and not just fight them, like blackmail them. It's really an interesting story. It's Garth Ennis kind of at his best. I can't wait to see it. It'll be funny as hell, man, if they adapt it right. It's gonna be expensive. That is not gonna be a cheap show.
No, it's not going to. But they've done the tick right so far. So I think
we should be getting part 2 of the Tick pretty soon, right? February,
yeah. Right when Ash versus Evil Dead kicks in. I think the Tick will kick in right before Ash versus Evil Dead. So
oh man, early part of next year is gonna be great for TV. There's some awesome TV coming out.
So Jim Starlin over at Marvel Comics has cut ties with Marvel Comics, the editorial portion of it, not the movie portion of it, after they greenlit a Thanos comic book that was pretty much identical to the book that he's been working on for the last year. Same story-wise, plot-wise, all that kind of stuff, and they have no excuse for it whatsoever.
Yeah, I don't know all the behind the scenes on that. I guess that's from Starlin, right?
And it was from Starlin himself on his Facebook page.
It was for Tom Brevoort, however you say his last name. He's an assistant editor there and kind of a classic D-bag on Twitter. I really have not liked this guy's interaction with fans. I've talked to him once at a con. He seemed perfectly nice, but then you see like his act on Twitter. And I'm not talking about just like his act towards the trolls. Trolls deserve what they get. And honestly, that's what they're there for. They're trying to get a rise out of you. You're just not supposed to take the bait. And he does every time. But sometimes a fan will just ask him a casual question and he'll bite their heads off. That's the toxic place that Twitter is. I think a lot of people think the toxicity is from the trolls. I find it way more toxic from the users, from the well-known users of Twitter. I find them to be way too snarky for my liking, especially when, when you work for Marvel. We've said it before on this podcast, and many others have said it on YouTube. You're wearing your uniform all the time. The time. You don't get, when you're a public figure, you don't get that private whatever. If you want to have opinions like that, have a private Twitter where you invite people in, or not a private Twitter, private Facebook, where it's just you and your friends talking. You can set it up that way. And that way you can say whatever the hell you want. But when you're out there, if I was running a company, I would not allow that at all. And you can work somewhere else. You don't have to work for Marvel, and you don't have to be on Twitter.
There's plenty of other places to do comics.
Yeah. And if you're going to put, hard opinions out there and be, be over opinionated by politics or whatever, you be prepared for what comes after that. Don't put your opinion out there and then, block people or, run away. That's,
I believe it's called, was it Pollyanna?
Yeah.
Lift up your skirts and, oh my God, I didn't think that was going to happen.
Yeah. If anything, if you're going to have an opinion, stick to it, but, be nice. You can still be nice.
So next
up, asking a lot there. I don't know if I can do that, to be honest with you.
I can.
Oh yeah, sure.
Hey, come on! I thought
you're nice to your dog. Yeah, and me. You're mostly nice to me
most of the time. John's the one I take out on.
John. John's a sweetheart. Stop it.
So Disney has released its slate of movies, the release schedule for 2018, and we thought we'd run them down because it's fairly interesting what they've got coming up here. And you got to remember, as of this month, with their little release of Star Wars: The Last Jedi, Disney has crossed over the $6 billion mark in movies, of money they've raked in movies this year. So first up, we've got Black Panther coming out on February 26th. I think we're both looking forward to that.
I might have known that one.
Mm-hmm.
Might have heard that somewhere.
Yes,
we're both looking forward to that. The trailer looks pretty good. The first trailer looked like ass. I'll tell you that right now. It looked terrible. Second trailer looked much better. I still have misgivings from that movie, but not what everybody will think. It's not some political. I just think the singular origin superhero story is kind of done. I don't know if we can do that anymore, but we'll see. I could be proved wrong. And Andy Serkis looks amazing. That guy's, I love that guy. I love everything he's in, even the bad movies.
A Wrinkle in Time is going to be coming out on March 9th.
Won't be seeing that.
Yeah, I won't either. Then we go into Avengers Infinity War on May 4th.
I might go see that.
A little interested. That's a maybe for me.
Might be kind of excited about that one.
Yeah, I mean, come on, it's the Russo brothers. I'm definitely.
Dude, I got a countdown on my computer. You fucking kidding me?
Here's a movie that I know you're in line for already. Solo, a Star Wars story on May 25th. Oh my
God, this is going to be the best Star Wars movie ever.
Redirected, recut, reshot, done by Ron Howard.
Done by Opie.
Yes, Opie Cunningham. Little Opie Cunningham.
Or Blandy McBland Pants, as I like to call him.
Then a movie that both of us, I know, are really looking forward to, and I'm not saying this with sarcasm, The Incredibles 2 on June 15th.
I might weep just a little bit.
I know I peed my pants a little bit.
Unless, of course, if they stick with their being Pixar, okay, and they don't turn it into modern Disney. If it's an Incredibles 2 that's modern Disney, I will cry a different sort of tear. Yeah.
And then we continue with Marvel with Ant-Man and the Wasp on July 6th.
That's going to be good.
Yeah,
I hope so.
I'm looking forward to that one as well. And then there's an untitled Christopher Robin movie that's going to be animated. Christopher Robin being from Winnie the Pooh on August 3rd. Not really interested.
Yeah, thank God my kid is
past that point.
And I don't have to watch any of these goddamn animated movies anymore. I'm so freaking sick of them. I've seen everyone. It's like over the last year, he's just kind of like, I didn't have to go see Coco. And it's nothing against Coco. It's nothing against the movies. I just like every animal, anthropomorphic, freaking animated 3D movie that came out between 2007 and 2014. I saw every single damn one of them.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
no, not really.
I'm done.
On November 2nd, we have a live action Mulan and a live action Nutcracker. Kind of interesting. It's coming out from Disney.
It's like the literal Nutcracker. Like
I know. Really.
Nutcracking going on. There we go.
I'm sorry.
What did you say? Mulan? Did you say Mulan?
Mulan. Yes,
Mulan, they're live action Mulan.
Yes, the live action Mulan.
Live action Mulan.
Yep.
Okay. Are they going to do a live act? Are they remaking Mary Poppins?
I'm going to get to that.
Oh, okay. Because I have a theory about that, by the way. Keep going.
Wreck-It Ralph 2 is coming out on my birthday, November 21st.
I love how Dennis loves to point out his birthday.
I try,
Yeah, you're going to be like 65, right? You'll be at retirement 82. Age? 82. Okay, sweet.
Yep.
Right on. Social Security check still coming in? Okay.
Yeah, they're, although Ted Cruz is trying to curtail that. But anyway, Mary Poppins Returns comes out on Christmas Day, December 25th.
What does a Texas senator have to do with your your Social Security? You know what you need to worry about with your Social Security is all the baby boomers sucking it all up. That's what you need to worry about. All the freaking old hippies. Yeah. So What movie did you say there? Sorry.
Mary Poppins Returns, the one you were asking about.
So the reason I'm asking about that is because I have a conspiracy theory. Let me get my Alex Jones tinfoil hat now. Frogs are gay.
Not the first time I've been accused of that.
Frogs are gay and Mary Poppins. Okay, so that's why I think Guardians of the Galaxy had a Mary Poppins reference, and Star Wars had Leia flying like Mary Poppins. I think those were both put in there on purpose to like start getting it in your head that like it kind
Mary
of almost a subliminal. So I can't even say it. Subliminal viral thought in your head. Well, isn't it weird that there's like 2 Mary Poppins references? And believe me, the way they had her fly, there's a million ways you could have had her fly, but they had her fly like Mary Poppins. Am I wrong?
Yeah, they did not. It was like she had a magic wand in her hand and was being drawn.
That was straight up on purpose to get us in our minds that, oh, I think Disney's doing a Mary Poppins movie too. Don't think they don't think about that crap. They do. I told you every scene was probably put in front of a marketing manager, and I don't think I'm wrong in that. I just don't. But maybe
it's called cross promotion.
Yeah. And now that Disney is going to own Fox, are we going to get a lot of it? I'm telling you, it's a bad idea. I don't like it.
This leads us into our main topic of the evening. Mark Hamill had released a video. There's a video that's gone around. It's about a minute long, and he said he pretended in The Last Jedi that he was playing a character named Jake Skywalker, not Luke Skywalker, because as he put it, the character that Rian, I'm going to call him Rian Johnson wrote, was not Luke Skywalker, as he put it.
Rian. That's his name from us from now till the end of time. Yeah, I watched that video. You shared it with me a couple days ago, and now it's like all gotten around. Even Mundane Matt just popped a video up right before we started this podcast. It's fully gotten around, and he said he was acting as Jake Skywalker.
Yes. As he put it, this Star Wars was not his Star Wars anymore.
Yes, it's the title of this podcast, Not My Star Wars. That was Mark Hamill's quote. Okay. I don't think we can get any clearer than that. I'm sure Kathleen Kennedy is going to send the duck troopers out for in force to shut him up, and look for very soon for him to be putting out kind of an apology or saying he still loves the movie. He did say that in the video. At the end of the video, he puts the caveat at the end. But they're either going to put a kibosh on him, or he is never going to work in this town again. But bless you, Mark Hamill. Bless you.
I think he's making enough money, with voiceover work and stuff like that. He doesn't have to worry about that stuff anymore. Not like he did when he was first starting out.
And there's so much to talk about on this subject. I mean, we've said both of us have said what we feel about the movie. And again, let me preface by saying, if you like the movie, this does not mean like our opinions aren't the end all be all. Just because I don't like
your opinion's wrong.
Yeah.
You have your opinion. We have our opinion.
We have our opinion. Just because I say a movie's bad doesn't mean it is bad. Okay. So I don't think I am. And I'm not attacking you personally. Okay. This is just an opinion on a movie. And I've marveled at how crazy it has gotten the last week. It has gone nuts. Really this is it's an average movie at best.
Yeah. And if you look at it from a filmmaking perspective, yeah, George Lucas was not the best director in the world, but at least his movies, the original trilogy was better put together. The original movie, the original Star Wars movie, had its clunky parts to it. Definitely, that's what made it kind of endearing. This was not endearing. It was just clunky. The editing, the pacing, everything was just kind of off.
Well, more than that. Okay. I mean, again, you want to hear our reviews. We've done 2 podcasts on our reviews. I think Dennis and I in a little bit are going to point out what just the basic plot holes that I just need explained. Okay. If you could explain these, then maybe I'm wrong and it's a good movie. But before we even get into that, the spin that has been happening from, I don't know who, I'm not going to, okay, Disney doesn't go out and pay every site to say good things. I'm sure they pay some. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Harvey Weinstein, when he got busted, came out and said that he had 15 or 20 reporters on his payroll.
Yeah.
Okay. So duh. If you don't think this happens, there's a thing called payola. It's been around since entertainment was invented. Okay. It was really bad in the music industry in the 70s.
50s.
50s, 60s, 70s, up until like radio just didn't have any sway anymore. And now it's just moved to the internet. Okay. And what did I saw Joe Rogan on in Bright. I watched 30 minutes of Bright, saw Joe Rogan podcast in that blew my mind. So yes, people are getting paid, but there's also the indirect pay. You get early access and stuff. And Disney has shown that they will pull that if you do something negative to them. Ask the LA Times. Go look it up. Yep. LA Times did an article on some shenanigans Disney was pulling on the city of Anaheim. Disney got pissed, pulled all their access.
Blacklisted them.
Blacklisted the Los Angeles Times. And then they got pressured into going back on that. So don't think they'll do it to other people. It's freaking ridiculous not to think it. So that being said, I think most people are not on the payroll. I think they're defending it due to, they really like it. Okay, that's cool. I also think it's an ego thing. Like, my ego's not wrapped up in Star Wars. My ego's not wrapped up into anything. Game of Thrones is something I love it dearly. Season 7 sucked. Okay, I'll say it. It's that easy. Didn't all suck, but it mostly sucked, and that ending was horrible.
I didn't have a problem.
The problem is 7, when you go out and constantly support bad stuff, you're just going to keep getting bad stuff. So I think some of the Star Wars fans are attacking the ones who like it because they think they're complicit. Possibly, they think like, hey, you keep liking this crap, and it's crap, and you're still defending it for God knows what reason. Because I tell you what, in 2 years, most people are going to say they hate this movie. The Force Awakens, you saw how the tide turned as the years went on, as the 2 years went on. You saw how that turned into like this great, unbelievable movie to most people going, oh, it was flawed, but
Yeah, see, for me, the biggest thing about it is when you have to keep your producers, directors, actors, and everything now keep coming out on an almost daily basis now, having to defend, or not to defend, excuse me, that's the wrong choice of words, explain a certain aspect of the movie, like, oh, Snoke was probably training another apprentice in secret. Okay, well, you didn't show that in the movie, so it didn't happen, as far as I'm concerned. And things like that. And that's from Rian Johnson, by the way.
Did he say that? Oh, see, that's, oh my God. Okay, let's get to some comments, then we'll get to more on this, because believe me, this is just getting started. So we'll start with, Ghost World is here. What's up? And I'll get back to Ben. Okay. Okay, this is the first comment. Talk about Happy real quick. I do want to say, hey guys, Happy catching you live again. Didn't watch Star Wars yet, but not looking forward to it, especially with better content on TV these days, like The Expanse and my all-time favorite, Farscape. Love Farscape, and The Expanse is the best sci-fi out there right now. Ghost World, hey, some animated movies are really good. Yes, they are.
Yeah,
I agree.
Kubo and the Two Strings, man. That I bought that straight out on. That's an awesome movie. It's depressing, but it's awesome.
No, that one was good. I don't hate me for this, but we actually my wife and I like the Box Trolls.
Oh yeah, Box Trolls was good.
That was kind of a cool movie. Yeah. So yeah, there's definitely some good, but man, there was so much bad.
Troll Hunters 2 by Guillermo del Toro on Netflix right now. Season 2 is out. Watch it. It's good.
I still need to watch that one. I give the writers no, man, you gave the writers way too much credit. That would require actual skill. They're not that clever. No, they're not. Nerdrotic, don't you find it funny and very, very close to how Star Trek Discovery is being regarded? The same vibe from the fans, like me, yeah. Don't feel that the new DSC Trek feels like, or the new Discovery Trek feels like Trek. No, it doesn't. Sorry, I'm a horrible reader. It's the exact same thing. And we talked about a little bit in the last podcast about, I think, again, conspiracy theory. It's like they're almost trying to break fandom.
Yeah.
Because they did this with Doctor Who too. Yeah. Deconstructing fandom so they don't have to be, they don't have to
adhere to a
canon, adhere to canon. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And there's actually some logic behind that. This is just not the way to go about it. I think they were sold a bill of goods. Talking about Star Wars is like destroying politics these days. I thought Jedi was all right. I thought Last Jedi was all right. That's cool. That's totally cool. It is like talking about politics. Absolutely. Yeah. Sorry, Dennis, go on.
And yeah, it's this deconstructing of fandom so that they don't have to adhere to it. But at the expense of what I call poo-pooing on the past stuff that's come before, or negating like the original trilogy. Like Luke, for example, they keep talking about him in The Last Jedi as being this great person, but that's all a facade. And that he's really this horrible person that tried to kill a kid who really didn't try to kill. He thought about it for a brief second. He even admits, he goes, just in a moment of weakness, I thought about killing him and I stopped. And he goes, and that's where the mistake happened, basically. Instead of talking to Ben about it. Yeah, you really don't want to destroy an entire generation's hero just so you can build up your other heroes, that are up and coming. If you want to do that, set it 100 years later, something like that. You can use their kids or something like that, or their grandkids. And if you want to continue in the Skywalker family or something like that, do it 100 years later. That way you don't have to deal with the original cast.
Yeah. Why even bother bringing in the original cast if you're not going to have them together? No Han and Luke together. God, that's one of the biggest missed opportunities in the history of cinema.
And then just killing them off.
Just kill them off. Before this, the death of Kirk was one of the biggest travesties I ever witnessed in Generations. And what they did to Luke makes that look honorable. At least Kirk died next to Picard, but he died alone. And yeah, I know he's still alive in the Nexus and blah, blah, blah. But that was terrible, but wonderful compared to what they just did to Luke. Now I'm talking, when he fades away at the very end of the movie, that was cool. But everything that led up to that was just wrong. And his death was meaningless. It was meaningless. Like, it did nothing but bought the quote unquote 9 rebels that are left time. Like, the plot of that movie is just so full of holes. And that's the problem. And I talked about it last podcast, that like, if Luke went out heroically with an actual fight, and then got defeated by Kylo Ren, I would have been fine with it. I didn't want him to die. I think that was too predictable. Have him live for another movie. He's still, Luke is very young still. He's not as old as Obi-Wan was.
Yeah.
So he died very young.
Yeah, if he had sacrificed himself like Ben did in the original Star Wars, in episode 4, to buy them some time so they could escape, then yeah, that would have been, an actual great death, I guess you could say.
And this is supposed to be the greatest Jedi ever, who closed himself off to the Force, went off to be a hermit after he hung in there, risking the entire rebellion to bring his father back from the brink for very personal reasons, but achieved the impossible, got the second most evil guy in the galaxy to turn good again.
Yeah.
But his sister's son was so far gone that he's irredeemable, and he thought about killing his best friend and sister's son. Yeah, that's going out of your way.
And that's the reason why people are so pissed about this.
Yep. The character of Rey, like, as much as I didn't like Force Awakens, which looks much better now that time has gone on as a movie compared to Last Jedi. If they could have turned it around, if they got some new talent in, they gave her some depth to story. I thought, crazier enough or not, I thought Kylo Ren was actually improved, and then they took it away at the end. Like, there was some really good ideas that they just pulled the rug out from out of in this movie that could have been way better. And
the whole thing was Snoke, killing Snoke off.
Yeah,
like he was nothing, and it was just kind of weird. I mean, it just seemed like an afterthought, really.
And now they're coming out and saying we're going to find his backstory. So we're going to do flashbacks in Star Wars now. Is this going to become a thing? Because flashbacks, like, while they work great in television, for movies, I think they're kind of a cop out.
They're going to do a prequel called Snoke: The Younger Years.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. I mean, that's. I don't know how they fix this, and they're going to find out when that movie comes out. And I'm really interested to see what the drop off will be. And I'm not rooting against Star Wars. If it makes a bunch of money, that's great. That's awesome for Disney and everybody working. I don't want people to be out of jobs, and I'm not sitting here putting up Box Office Mojo going, God, I hope they go 20% less. That's not how I live my life. I'm actually kind of over it. I think this, John put it best in our messages. He's like, this is just all the squabbling over an average movie. If you like the movie, you're an SJW. If you don't like it, you're an alt-right troll. Shut the fuck up. Okay.
Crazy guy says there's a thing going around that Hamill didn't even know Luke was written out of the movie. Apparently he found out at the premiere. Did you guys hear that? Do you believe it? I heard about that, but Mark Hamill himself said, no, that's not right. Him and Rhiannon have been talking together about it, and he was fighting Johnson on the direction of where Luke was going. He didn't agree with it. And then when he saw where it was going, he was like, okay, sure, we'll go with it. And he says he came to the conclusion that this wasn't his story anymore, and that's the reason why he let it go the way it did and stopped fighting about it.
Yeah. I'm going to read some comments, and then Dennis and I'll get back. There's a lot here. And everybody, thank you for joining us and piping in. I really appreciate that. I got to figure out where I left off here. It's bizarre. Ghost World says it's bizarre that both franchises are going through the same reception. It is bizarre, and it's my God, it's 2000. It's the end of 2016. 2017 has just been a divisive year. Let's face it. And Doctor Who is about to go through this very soon. So, and I don't know if you guys are into Doctor Who. I was not really anymore. Crazy guy, talking about Star Wars is like talking about politics these days. I already read that one. Sorry. Yeah. The Last Jedi for the second time. Oh, saw The Last Jedi for the second time today. I hate it 15% less than they did the first time around. I heard that a lot from people who've seen it the second time. Mundane Matt, did that video that Disney killed Star Wars and then saw it the second time and came around. I don't know. I still think that if you have to see a movie a second time to like it a little better, hey, Disney loves that though, because that's you paying for it twice. I'm going to be taking my kids to see it again. God help me. Disney, the new Apple. Yes. They're a lot alike, actually, as companies. I agree. The concept, it's really good. In execution, it just didn't work that well. Yeah, they had that was the problem with both of the movies. I thought
they have a lot of good ideas, but just didn't know how to put them together.
John Thompson, I wonder what ABC's opinion of the movie is. Oh yeah, right. Unfortunately, Ghost World says, unfortunately, I think it's because there's so many younger kids who like Star Wars. No surprise, it's catered towards younger people. They don't have
high standards.
They don't have high standards. Yeah. And kids, they don't. I can only judge through my kids. My kids could care less. Logan, my youngest, wants to see it, but it's because I've been talking about it. So, and my oldest son is 21 and could care less. Yeah.
And yeah, Ghost World, you're right. I mean, watching Star Wars as grown men, and we're filtering it through the eyes of nostalgia, definitely. Yeah. And we try and temper that when we do our reviews. We really do. But yeah, you do temper it through nostalgia, but at the same time, if you're fans of something that's already been established for 40 years, and it is 40 years, you got to remember this year, that's something that they didn't really celebrate, tell you the truth, Disney on that one. It's been around a long time, and just to deconstructing it, you're tearing down established heroes in order to build up other ones that are pretty much the exact same, just younger versions of the old heroes. So it's a weirdness that you can see when you're older and you've been around this franchise for, since the beginning.
Yeah, definitely. Again, we talked about it last podcast, but I said that, listen, I see Star Wars completely different than somebody else does. So Empire might be just this old crappy movie to somebody, and I totally get that. I've seen it from the beginning. It's my Beatles. So I'm going to see it a totally different way. I understand, though, that it's a great example. Dennis doesn't like this movie, but I do. When JJ did Star Trek, I'm a huge Star Trek fan, and I saw the newer version. They recast Kirk and everything. By the way, this is something I predicted to my friends when I was like 10. I'm like, someday they're going to recast, and they're going to do this with Star Wars too. They're going to recast Star Trek with Kirk and stuff. And seeing it happen was actually kind of fun, and I liked the movie. But it's because I had broken from being a huge Star Trek fan. I just became a casual fan, and that's what this movie is made for. It's made for the casual fan. The casual fan is the one you make the most money off of. It's broad appeal. It's what you want. I had this argument with comic fans about superhero movies and the changes they make in superhero movies, which I'm super forgiving. Especially when superhero movies started out and they really got the costumes wrong and did a lot of things wrong. But I'm like, hey, we got them. People are watching them. This is great. I was just happy to have superhero movies. And I think Disney thought that people would be we're just happy to have Star Wars movies. But the prequels used up all the goodwill for that. You brought back the original cast, which was like the last card you can play to bring just giant money in, which they did. I think there's the simplest answer to this. I think they rushed it. I think they just rushed it. They bought Star Wars. They needed to get a return on their money ASAP, and they rushed everything. They're only taking 2 years between movies instead of 3 like they used to. And it shows. I think it just simply shows. And believe me, after they just spent $54 billion on Fox, I know the deal hasn't officially gone through yet. They're going to need a return on that. And you're going to see Disney doing some crazy stuff. And that's why I think this is a horrible idea. Because you're going to see Disney sell stuff off eventually. Because, what goes up must come down. So.
I got to jump ahead to Isaiah St. Joseph Norton said, "How many parents think about murdering their kids for 2 seconds? I bet my mom probably did." Laugh out loud, can't hold it against Luke. True. Yeah. Very true.
Honestly, I have never thought about murdering my kids. Ever. Macking them upside the head daily. I don't act on it, but just a good little whack. It's like my papa used to do to me. Those are the days. I love you, Dad.
And Ghost World, Ghost World says, I see your point about deconstructing canon, but do it completely all at once. Tell us straight up like Disney did with the Legend stuff. Just wipe the slate clean and start over. Yeah, they should have. I mean, again, just go forward in time and use the grandkids or something like that and tell that story.
Yeah, absolutely. And this isn't, I'm sure with some people, this is a political agenda thing. With us, it's not. I promise you that.
Pure fandom. Honestly, it's fandom.
Purely just because we like Star Wars. And like I said, I'm not super into Star Wars anymore. So honestly, the debate is really interesting to watch. I got no skin in the game, though. I really don't. If Star Wars makes a ton of money and they continue on this route, that's fine. I'm not going to spend any more money on it, though. I mean, life is short. Time is short. I'd rather watch Westworld 5 times than Last Jedi or Mr. Robot or something.
Veronica, I do agree with you. She says, I find myself rooting for White Rose's time machine so we can go back before this cluster of a movie came out. Mr. Robot fan here. Love your reviews. Thanks, Veronica. And yes, I agree with you. I wish we could go back in time before this started.
Yes, absolutely.
Ghost World asks, who is going to see Doctor Who on the 27th in theaters? That might be Gary. I don't know.
Probably me.
Yeah.
I've seen since they started doing that. I've seen everything they've done, even when they did the animated Dalek one. And it's me and two other guys in the theater in this giant theater in San Francisco. But I like to go. We'll be reviewing the episode live on Christmas Day. We're gonna have a Christmas special, ladies and gentlemen. So I guess they're doing the Runaways. So if you watch that show, we're doing a recap of that, and then right after that, we're before that, we're doing Doctor Who. So we're gonna do Doctor Who about 8 p.m. on Christmas Day. Got permission from the family, so that's cool. I can join the internet.
Mindmorph says Aliens and the Predator are now in Disney's hands with sale of Fox. Yes.
God. See that?
Yes, they are.
What's that Picard meme or whatever? Yeah. Jesus.
Well, you know what? Now we can have the Aliens and the Predators fighting Star Wars characters alongside Marvel characters, right?
Why not? Why not at this point?
Hey, you know what that means? We can have the Brood now, because the Brood was, Aliens ripoff.
Oh, see, that would be cool. X-Men versus Aliens? Hell yeah. Oh,
there
yeah, dude. I'm in line for that one already. Why not?
See, it's all synergy here. That's the only reason why the sale happened.
I don't... yeah, this Fox thing is going to take... I read today that it's going to take a long time.
If it happens at all.
If it happens at all. Not a fan of it at all. I just think it's too much power for Disney, and we're already seeing what Disney is doing with, Marvel is an anomaly because it started without Disney. So Disney just picked up what Paramount and Marvel had started.
Yep.
And Kevin Feige has been the right guy, but I don't know. There's a lot of infighting in Disney going on right now behind the scenes with Iger and Perlmutter and Feige. It's going to be interesting. And I whatever happens at the end of the day for Star Wars, Kathleen Kennedy has got to notice that audience rating. And that's another thing we need to talk about. First, they spin that it's bots. It's like bots that went out on Rotten Tomatoes. And I'm sure it could be, but there's a couple other places that had it at about 56%. Then another one came out with 89% yesterday, audience approval rating. I mean, I honestly don't know what it is, but based what I see on my Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, I'd say like almost 60% of the people liking the movie is pretty accurate. And, 45 to 40% of the people not liking it, pretty accurate. And I think that number will change as time goes on, The Force Awakens.
Someone actually had posted, I think, on our Facebook page that I guess Kathleen Kennedy was sporting a shirt saying the Force is female, something like that.
Yes,
something to that effect.
Yeah, she's rocked that before.
I never saw it, so
no, she's rocked that before. Okay, that's cool. Girl power, yay! I think the Force should be everything, not just female. But that's me. I thought I thought it's what binds us and makes the rocks fly. Penetrates us.
Remember, that's what he says. It binds us and penetrates us.
It does. But if it's female,
how can it penetrate us? Yeah,
that means the Force has the magic carrots that make the reindeers fly.
That's a happy reference, by the way.
That's a happy reference. Sorry. Yeah.
But you should be watching that show if you haven't watched it. It's funny.
What's up, Comics Division? That is a great YouTuber right there, by the way. Comics Division. What's up, dude? Yeah, mediocre at Star Wars. Mediocre at best. We've been talking about it a lot. I think what's been more fascinating is the division between the fans and where the spin on that has gone. It's eerily similar to the spin that was put towards people who are criticizing comic books and criticizing other fandoms like Star Trek. It's beginning to be cycles, and it's beginning to look like it's people copying each other in Hollywood is exactly what they do. I think Hollywood this year, among any years, misread the tea leaves. I think they do all get together in summits and meetings, and they do have a thing called trend scouting. It's a very important thing. Hairdressers do it. My wife is a hairdresser. She does it. I did it for the comic store. And entertainment industry pays people big money to trend scout, and they have algorithms. They have all this crazy crap. But the best way to trend scout is you find there's people who are really good at just identifying trends before they're going to happen. And I know, the record companies used to do this. It's called finding the people who could find the good bands. People with really great taste. They used to do this, and I think whoever they paid, and I'm talking Hollywood, they misread the tea leaves. They thought the country and a certain trend was going one way, and it didn't. It course corrected, and they had already had all this stuff made. They had scripts written. They had stuff in production. I think it has there's a lot of shows that got delayed at the end of this year. Dennis and I have talked about it a lot. A lot of shows have been delayed to 2018, to later. Westworld. There's Game of Thrones. There's production reasons, and I also think there's writing reasons. I think they were writing it a certain way, and they're like, "Ooh, that's not how we want to write it anymore. Let's correct that." And you have to start rewriting stuff. I think that has a lot to do with it. Trends are followed. Hollywood has gone from kind of reflecting reality to attempting to shape it in some way or another. Some call it propaganda. Maybe. I think it's more like they're just a lot of like-minded people write a lot of like-minded stuff, and there isn't a ton of there's lots of physical diversity, but there's not a lot of diversity of ideas going on in Hollywood right now. That's just me.
Well, there never has been really a diversity of ideas in Hollywood.
No, and as Hollywood has gained more power, remember they used to have to share it with the music industry, but now that's pretty much gone. And with the internet, Hollywood has got tons of power now, and I just think they too much. But we got to remember they're people, and there's a lot of Hollywood's filled with idiots like the rest of the world. So and they're going through changes too. They make mistakes, and the problem is they just don't admit it. And these are expensive mistakes. And I think Star Wars, I think this last one was a real expensive mistake. And I think Disney is definitely taking notice. They're going to spin this to make this movie as good as possible. But there's meetings going on right now going, how do we fix this?
Ghost World says, hey, what do you guys think of that whole Monster Universe studio production company that planned a ton of monster movie remakes? So Universal, yeah,
dude,
with the Mummy remake with Tom Cruise. I honestly, when I heard Tom Cruise was in it, that was my first real red flag on that one. He'd already been going through enough questionable stuff to put him in something that you were going to base an entire franchise on or start an entire franchise on. I think that was the mistake, quite honestly. I think it was a good idea that they had, that Universal was going to reboot all their monster movies under a blanket of a division that Russell Crowe's character was supposed to be investigating, if you will. And it sounds like it would have been cool. It's just they went about it the wrong way. That's all.
Yeah, they tried to make a cinematic universe instead of just trying to make a good movie and then maybe build one from that. That's what DC. That's the big mistake. Is the cinematic universe was an accident. It was an accident of fate. They tried something fun at the end of an Iron Man movie and it worked, but it also worked because you had 50 or 60 years of fandom building up to that. Okay. Yeah. A lot of people, a lot more, people my age, almost everybody read a comic at some point. Not, most everybody. Yeah, we got a lot of crap in high school and stuff, but people knew who Spider-Man was. They read a comic when they were kids. Usually
Except
they got
for Bryan Singer.
Except for Bryan Singer. He did not read comics. You're right. Good point. Usually normal people got out of it when they were 12, 13, 14, and some of us used to just hide it. Like when girls came over, we put them under our bed, stuff like that. I know, weird. You don't have to do that anymore. It's so great. Or your wife reads just as many comics as you do, which is really awesome, by the way. Yeah, it's just different now. And yeah, Star Wars is, I think, screwed. I think cannot wait till Solo comes out and just to see the hot mess.
Yeah,
because I think the Lord and Miller one would have been good.
I think it would have been fun. I think it would have been fun, honestly. And that's what Star Wars needs right now. It needs a lot more fun. That was the other thing. I think that this movie was a little too grim. Yes, Empire Strikes Back was grim. But that was them getting their butts handed to them so they can come back again for the finale. Everyone knew that kind of going into it. But this was actually darker, I think. You lose all the generals all at once because they're all clustered together on a bridge in a badly shielded section of the ship. Anyway, from the original trilogy. So everybody that was in the original trilogy, except for Lando being a general, and he wasn't there because
where the hell is Lando, dude?
That was the whole thing. He was supposed to be Benicio del Toro's character originally, but they said no, we couldn't make him that morally and ambiguous.
Why not? They made moral relativism seems to be the theme, which is like the worst thing to do to Star Wars.
I know, but that's what Rian, and that's what I'm calling him, as Rian, had stated, was that originally he had used Lando, who was going to be the Benicio del Toro character, and instead they just created this character instead.
Hey, didn't his character stutter in oh my God, Usual Suspects? Didn't he have a speech thing? Yeah, Benicio del Toro was in Usual Suspects. He died kind of early.
It's been a while. I can't remember.
Yeah, he had some kind of speech thing going on. I kind of, that's what the vibe I got from it. Ooh, man, I'm getting old. Man, Jesus. With the soul, the Soul story is going to be, it's not going to bomb. It's going to make a bunch of money, but it'll be the first one not to hit $1 billion, I think, and that'll be the first red flag.
Paul Bettany actually came out just recently, because he finished rapping on Avengers Infinity War, and I guess he was out doing something else, and he's also in the Solo movie as well. And I guess he said that Ron Howard has reshot significantly more of it than was actually announced.
I heard like 70% or something like that.
Yeah, I've heard I've heard like 60-65% myself.
And Ghost World says, I don't know about it being too grim. That's like the same argument for Star Trek Discovery being too dark. It could be very good, but being grimmer and darker doesn't mean kill everything off. No, you could be grim and darker with subject matter. I think it would have been a great move to make Rey go dark. I kept on hearing like they were bold in this movie and they make a lot of daring moves. If daring moves is taking a main character that everybody loves for 30 years, 40 years, and making him kind of a punk, that's a daring move. I think it was more, it would have, see, we love dark and edgy here. Okay, we live there. And it doesn't mean killing. But that's maybe what they think. I don't know.
I think what would have been a better angle for this is having Luke, when he's in his isolation, finding himself being more like the Bendu in Star Wars Rebels, where he doesn't see a light side and a dark side, but he sees a mixture of the both, and that's what he tries to teach Rey, is that there is no light side, there is no dark side, but it's better to be both, a mixture of both.
Okay.
And I think that would have helped it a little bit more, and that would have helped her in the struggle against, Kylo Ren.
And maybe it was in that third lesson that we never saw.
Well, that third lesson supposedly is in a cut scene that actually came out recently as well. And the third lesson was pretty stupid from what I understand. So There's a reason why it was cut.
Yeah, I just think swinging your lightsaber at a rock makes you a Jedi.
Yeah.
Oh my god, the behind the scenes of that was so hilarious. If you guys can go find it, it's her talking about like all this, her being Daisy Ridley. She's like, oh, I was doing all this hard work, and it was like 3 days of training. And I'm like, what? Yeah, it was the hardest 3 days of training. I think she probably worked an hour and a half each day. And the guy said, oh, she's really good for 3 days. The guy training her. It says it in the video. Like, and maybe that's how you're supposed to hold your lightsaber, but the whole like spreading your hands thing, okay, maybe I'm just used to like holding a baseball bat or whatever. I am not a sword fighter in any way, shape, or form. and, and it looks funny. And she swung the lightsaber at the rock really well. But I mean, that argument's been made, the whole Mary Sue thing or whatever. It's been said a million times about this. I don't know what to say new other than we could just point out the plot holes, like the bombs falling down in space.
And then Rianne actually said they're magnetic.
They're magnetic. Okay. All right, fine. What about the door being open with the bomber and her being exposed to the vacuum of space? Are we supposed to assume there's a shield there? Maybe.
No, she's pretty much dead. Yeah.
Why didn't she get sucked out in space when the door opened? When they let Leia in, why didn't they get sucked down in the space? You know,
I don't know.
You know what show does that perfectly? Expanse.
Exactly.
Expanse. Like, well, if you go that far, you can't. I mean, there has to be internal gravity inside the ships, because when they would come out of hyperspace, everybody would be just little jelly puddles. Yeah. So
and yes, Ghost World, definitely the Bendu and the Wills would have been awesome to actually, having Luke training with them, if you will, and
they're all in Rey. That's what Yoda said. They're all in Rey. Somehow. Sounds kind of dirty.
Well, they bind and penetrate.
Yeah. It does bind and penetrate, the Force does.
I'm sorry. We're just going to keep going back to that.
The Force is kinky.
The Force is very kinky.
Kind of like Snoke's.
The kink is strong within this one.
Is Snoke's rape room?
Yeah.
That was bad. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry about that. It's 2 podcasts in a row I said that. But that's what it looked like. It was red and had a bunch of apparatuses and things going on. And yeah.
Viewing audience. Yeah.
Yeah, and an audience. Yes. So hey, we're oh my god, the guards in red. What are they called again?
I don't know. The guards.
They have a name. Do you think those were the Knights of Ren?
See, that was the whole thing. Is I was kind of thinking that they would be the Knights of Ren, but why would they? If they were supposed to be the equal to Ben or students the same as him, why would they go? Okay, sure, we'll be the Praetorian Guard.
Praetorian Guard. Thank you.
Praetorian, yeah.
Whatever.
Why would we do that and just defend Snoke when you're being? Okay, you have your Sith where they're supposed to be a master and an apprentice, but wouldn't they all want to be the apprentice at that point? Wouldn't they all want to fight for that honor?
Sorry, The Last Jedi was the O.J. Simpson white Bronco chase of the Star Wars universe. Absolutely. Could not take our eyes off it. And we were in horror going, no, Juice, no. You can't do it.
Turn around.
Just give yourself up. We know you're innocent. And then he wasn't.
Ghost World says, I love The Expanse too, but you can't nitpick physics. Yeah, you can, because physics is universal. See what I did there?
Dennis can't.
Universal.
With Star Wars, I'll let it go a little bit, because like you can nitpick the original trilogy pretty hard too. No, like I said, if they would have made Luke's story good, I would have been probably fine with everything else, even him milking a sea cow for blue milk. It was just his. If they simply made his fight mano y mano at the end and had him go out like the badass, because that's what we were all waiting. Everybody was waiting for. I can't wait for Luke Skywalker to pull out his lightsaber and kick some ass and then go down saving somebody. That would have been fine. It really would have.
So
it's almost like, just like in Star Trek. Sorry, it's you didn't have to make Michael related to Spock and change the Klingons into dumb orcs who have torches inside their spaceships.
Yeah.
Okay. By the way, I need to recommend this guy again because I freaking love his YouTube channel, Dictor von Doomcock. If you haven't subscribed to Dictor von Doomcock, he does the best Star Trek Discovery reviews ever. And think of it like Red Letter Media, except with Dr. Doom. And there's a lot of production value. He's got a little Cthulhu puppet that he talks to, and the videos are about 20 to 30 minutes long, and they're freaking hilarious. So Dictor von Doomcock.
Excuse me. Ghost World says the Knights, the Praetorian Guard, and no, they're not the Knights of Ren. Two different groups. Yeah, but you got to remember, Ghost World. They said in the movie that Kylo Ren left with 6 of Luke's students along with him that became the Knights of Ren, and there's 6 Praetorian Guard. So you got to understand the confusion when they specifically say the number of people, and you have the exact same number guarding Snoke. And you don't explain any of that.
And some of their costumes were similar. They had that samurai kind of look to them. So I was just throwing out there, like, could they have been the Praetorian? I have no idea. And this is, again, I think they're going to do tons of flashback and explaining the next movie.
They're going to need a prequel movie just for the flashbacks themselves before the actual movie comes out to explain away everything.
And you made that argument with Blade Runner, with a lot of other movies, that if you have to do online prequels, if you're doing it to like do a little side story to anticipate, like with Blade Runner, some of those prequel videos were actually very good. And like the little videos they did for the Matrix sequels, which ended up being better than the movies. Yeah. Oh my God, the Animatrix was great. I loved it. But if you have to, like, well, in our comic book leading up to this, if you have to do that, it wasn't a good movie. Okay, you're not supposed to put that in. See, because if they did that with Star Trek, they did that prequel comic with Picard and Data, and taking Spock to the Romulan ship, and so that if they would have put that in the movie, that would have been great. It was actually a really good comic, but it didn't count because it wasn't in the damn movie. Okay. And I don't care if you say can't, if you want to tell a story in a movie, put it in the damn movie. Don't tell me that it's somewhere else or, just assume that that's bad. Did they do that with Raiders of the Lost Ark? Did I have to assume anything?
No, we go back to John Millis again, who again taught film school to George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, and his famous line is "Show, don't tell." Yeah,
we have Jaws because of him.
Yeah,
he also did the first Conan movie, which was awesome.
He did the first Conan movie, which the first 20 minutes, all you get is Crom said twice. That's it. That's the only thing out of Arnold Schwarzenegger's mouth is Crom, and it's still an awesome movie. And Comics Division says, have you seen the Den of Geeks article, Toxic Masculinity is the True Villain of Star Wars The Last Jedi? We have not. But
oh my God, I have to read that. Den of Geek? Oh my God.
Yeah, Den of Geek, I've gone through some of their stuff.
What has happened? These used to be sites that I used to go to and love. I might do if I'm sure somebody else will do a video on it. Comics Division, I might have to though. I will be reading that right after this podcast, sir. Thank you.
Isaiah says, and this is back to the Praetorian Guards because they were scared as crap of Snoke. I'd rather be a random dude in full red armor than force choked to death. True.
Me too. Den of Geek, all these sites that I used to love, and we're talking 5-6 years ago, have all gotten bought out by some corporate overlords somewhere. I don't know. Like, remember when Newsarama back in the day used to be really good. Actually, Kevin Smith had something to do with that when he was cool. But all these sites have gotten just bought out by these corporate entities, and they've just turned to shite. Bleeding Cool, I know that's one a lot of the comics guys I watch do videos on. Started out cool. You can't even go to that site without having a gazillion pop. You have to have, thankfully I have a Mac, so I don't have tons of pop-ups, but it's the most annoying site for ads. and then you have to actually read the content, and you wish the ads would pop up again and interrupt it immediately because it's really bad. And also, I do have a beef against that website a little bit because the one time I got written about was when I sold my shop, and they never talked to me and never got my side of the story. But,
we're waiting to sell out as well. So if there's
that's going to happen
to buy us, let them do it.
If Kathleen Kennedy gives me a big fat check, I'll be out. Last Jedi was the greatest movie I ever saw.
Ghost World said, what happened to Kevin Smith? No longer respected in the comics community. He hasn't been respected since the prequels from Star Wars, when he said it's the best movie you'll ever see, because we knew that he was just sold out. And really, that, and also, what was it? How long did it take his comic book to come out? Like 5-6 years. That last one.
Oh yeah, his Daredevil comic was good. His Green Arrow one was good. He was actually kind of a decent comic book writer. I think he's totally. I think he's good at making his little films. He's carved himself quite an empire out in. But what he's turned into, Hughes was great at Comic Cons and stuff back in the 90s. But like his stories just got repetitive. And yeah, we've completely lost him. It's kind of like Spielberg. If you're old enough to remember when Spielberg was cool, then Kate Capshaw got her claws into him and kind of Yoko Ono'd him, and he wasn't cool after that. He used to be cool, and yeah, Kevin Smith is the same way. It's sad to say, but yeah, ever since he came out, and you got to understand that these guys working, you can't trust other creative people, and it's not because they're paid off, it's because they want jobs, and these are all their friends. So a bunch of people have friends who worked on Star Wars. So I'd be the same way. I wouldn't talk shit about something my friend worked on. So when you see all these celebs and creative people go to a premiere and they get invited to tweet about it later, and you notice they invite all these people with huge Twitters who will come out and say very nice things, and they will continue to get these free passes to movies. So that's the easiest payola in the world. You just give them a free movie pass. I would do that. That's what's happening. And Dennis and I know people who work down there, and they all love Star Wars to a man. And these are people 4 years ago who would hate it. And might secretly hate it, but they're never going to admit it now because they want to work. And I understand that, but that's what's going on.
Yeah. And the thing is, with me, I'm very honest. If I know somebody who has made something that's not good, I'll just tell them, privately, I wasn't too much of a fan of this, but I'm not going to come out in public and say, hey, you know what, this is the greatest thing ever, even because it's just a friend of mine. I won't say anything at all. I'll be nice about it.
Yeah, that's the best way to go. Like if Derek ever, I don't know, like I said, if Derek ever did anything bad, I don't know, probably just not talk about it. But I haven't seen anything bad from him yet, so it could happen.
So we're going to leave the door open to you guys. Is there, we've asked this before, what would you like to see from us? I mean, I know we've talked about Star Wars ad infinitum now at this point, and I know everyone's tired about it. We've talked about Star Trek as well, and STD. So we've talked about that ad infinitum as well. Anything that you guys want to hear about, leave it in our comments or talk to us now and bring something up. And
with Star Trek, that's the conundrum I'm having, because we're not a channel. And I'm not disrespecting any other channel. We're not a channel built on negativity. We review TV shows. It's nothing really controversial. Sometimes we'll bag on them a bit. We'll be honest at all times until somebody pays us. But with Star Trek, I'm in a conundrum because I'm going to be kind of hate watching that, And John kind of likes it, and I definitely don't like it, but it got us tons of views. So I'm like, well, I'm going to watch it, but I'm going to be real. So I don't know what kind of audience we're going to get. That's not something I'm used to.
Actually, CBS All Access, you can get a free month now with the code word binge, I believe is what it's called. And so I'm actually going to jump on just to, go through the Star Trek Discovery pain that you guys have gone through to see what it's all about. And Yeah, I know you're shaking your head, but I know what I'm in for. I already know, and I'm going in with very lowered expectations.
Yeah, and again, I don't mean to bag on that. That's another show that if they just had set it in the future with the same plot, same damn cast, even just make her not related to Spock, make that whatever those Klingons are, make them something else, set it in the future instead of the past. I'm fine with the show. I don't have a problem with them, going all Game of Thrones with Star Trek. I think that's actually an interesting concept that I would like to see. Have the Federation falling apart. That'd be interesting to see, like a dying Federation or a device or a divided Federation, a Federation Civil War. And I'm sure they've done it in some side books that I've never read. And make no reference to Kirk or the Enterprise. That's fine. Make a new ship. The design of the Discovery is cool. I'll give it that. And some parts of it look pretty, but there's some other, it's Kiva Goldsmith, the guy who wrote Batman and Robin, wrote a lot of episodes. So that explains a lot.
So Isaiah St. Joseph Norton says, I love the new Star Trek, but I also didn't watch any of the original series. Basically, and my Star Trek knowledge comes from the new J.J. Abrams movies. See, I am old, and so I've watched the original series a lot.
He's old.
Yeah. You're older than me, so
I'm old too.
So that's where I'm basing. Again, it's a dismantling of my heroes, if you will, the way they did it, and they're taking away some basic cores of what makes those people or makes those characters who they are. And J.J. Abrams flat out said, I was actually at the convention when they announced that he was going to be the director of that, and he was there and said, I'm not a fan of Star Trek. I've never watched an episode. I'm a Star Wars fan. And that's what he came out, and everyone was like, well, then why are you directing this? and see, yeah, for me, it was downhill from there.
I liked the first Abrams movie. I thought it was very entertaining. I liked it. Had no problem with it. The other two, the third one was better than the second one. I know there was motorcycles in it, and a lot of people hated that. My wife and I liked it. My wife, maybe we'll bring my wife Melissa on for Star Trek Discovery because she likes it. But she's a very casual fan. And if it was the only thing I saw, like if I had not seen any of the old Star Treks, I'd probably like the show a lot more. I'm not a fan of every Star Trek show either. I didn't like the beginning of Enterprise. I thought a lot of Voyager was really boring. The first couple seasons of Deep Space Nine were kind of boring. And actually, I think the Next Generation hasn't held up nearly as well as the original series.
Oh God, no. Yeah.
I think the one thing Discovery has that a lot of the 90s and 80s Star Trek didn't have is I don't know, just a little moxie. They were very stale. And Wesley Crusher sucked. I hate it. And it's even worse on Twitter. That little shit.
Actually, I did like what he did. He went to the Star Wars The Last Jedi premiere wearing a Star Trek uniform.
That's funny.
That is hilarious. I thought that was actually really good. Comics division. There was a series that was canceled back in 2005 where the Federation was on the decline and was with the Romulans imminent. For the life of me, I can't remember what it was called. Actually, they did that in a comic fairly recently, IDW, if I remember correctly. They did where basically the Federation is shattered, and I think it's the Mirror Universe. That's what it was. It was the Mirror Universe where the Empire is actually shattered. And so they took remnants of that canceled TV series and made it into the comic, but in the Mirror Universe. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Oh, I remember that. Okay, I didn't read it, but I remember purchasing it at the store. I'm gonna have to check that out now. Totally check it out.
And it's with Picard and Data and all. It's actually fairly decent. Ghost World says that's a divide, though. Isaiah proves that the point that Disney's idea isn't all that evil or bad for Star Wars. People like Isaiah and even myself can appreciate it without dragging the older stuff into it. Yeah, I know that's what they're doing. I know they're rebooting it for a younger generation, but leave the old stuff as it is and just go on. You can still go on with the franchise. You just create new stuff for it. That's all. You don't need to keep rehashing the old stuff over and over again, even though I know it's more cost effective to rehash the old stuff over and over again.
The thing that bothers, I'll speak for myself, is just the treatment of Luke. Again, I have I would love to see new stuff and them just explore something different. That would be great. I'm kind of over the whole, like, let's be trapped in what Star Wars is supposed to feel. It's this giant universe that you can go out and explore. Just the treatment of Luke, the treatment of that character, it seemed purposefully bad. It like Rey walking up behind him and conking the greatest Jedi on the head, even if he's closed himself off to the Force. Come the F on. Stop it. It was little stuff like that it felt like they were poking at us old fans. That's not what they were doing. I'm sure they listen, they don't want to piss anybody off. I don't believe that for 1 second. I think they want everybody to love this movie. And I think they thought they were doing the best thing for it. I don't think there actually was a conspiracy to piss off fandom. It certainly looks like it, though. It really does. But I think it was just people who really weren't that into the old series and gave a lot of lip service that they were. Kathleen Kennedy has been around for all of this. She has been standing next to George Lucas for all of this, but she was always the business side. She was never the creative side. She is a producer, which means she gets the money. She organizes everything. She organizes the talent. She can recognize the talent that can make good creative stuff, but she is not the talent herself. I don't think she's the right person for this job. I think, but what the hell do I know? I'm sure Disney is very happy with the billions of dollars she's made, but I'm looking at more of the long run. Maybe they're not looking at a long run. Maybe they're looking to get the most money as quick as possible. Then this is the right route. Honestly, it's like, bring the old characters in, make the old fans happy. If you piss them off, so what? We got a bunch of kids who are going to watch this movie. Problem is the kids aren't watching the movie. There's a lot of adults yipping about this, but kids are watching YouTube. Kids are not going to movies, not for the most part.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's another thing. And a lot of people aren't going, other than Star Wars and Marvel, people aren't going to movies anymore. I talked about that earlier in the podcast. I think movies, have had their day. I think the best storytelling, the visual storytelling, is in television by far.
And that's why you have companies like MoviePass, which is the equivalent of the dollar bin at the store. That's what's going on, where you paid $10 a month and you can see a movie a day.
A movie a day. Yeah. I actually, that's Christmas presents to my entire family, by the way. So we're all getting movie passes. So that'll be cool. But
Ghost World says here, not to change the subject, but I want a reboot of Ghost Rider. Yes, and it actually is happening in the comics. Johnny Blaze is coming back because no one wants Robbie Reyes anymore. And so they are bringing back Johnny Blaze in the comics. So that is upcoming. I just read that a couple of days ago. And Ghost World also says, if anything, and I mean this in no offense, but I think it's also
I think you're right.
In part, that the more hardcore fans, the older fans and diehards, are too sensitive about their characters. There were tons of jabs and pokes at the new characters too, but anything done to the older characters is sacrilegious. I don't think sacrilegious is really it. I'm thinking of just like I said, for me, the problem was you're deconstructing these characters just to build up new characters that are exactly the same as the old characters. They're just replacing them. And it's like, well, you can do that. That's fine. Just replace them. You don't need to deconstruct the old characters. Just have it in a different timeline or a different time and make your characters. You can make them the same characters if you want to. Star Trek: The Final Frontier, yes.
Yes. And that's what's happening a lot. Again, I think it's this trend that's been going on, and if they consider it a writing trend, this has been going on with Marvel, with the comics, with the, trying to make legacy characters there. Maybe they should have done a little research on like where they've actually done well with legacy characters is DC Comics. DC Comics has done a great job with legacy characters. Honestly, I think they gave up on a couple a little too soon. Kyle Rayner Rayner being one of them. I was a Kyle Rayner fan. I didn't mind his comic book at all. I was totally acceptant. He has been Green Lantern for years, and they brought Hal Jordan back, and that was cool. But I was okay with Kyle Rayner. They could have kept it that way. Even when Bucky took over for Cap in Brubaker's run, which I was like, what? No. And then I read it. I'm like, it's actually pretty good. I kind of like it. I think they should keep Bucky as Cap for a long time. I wish they would have kept it longer. So there is ways to do it that aren't so jarring. This one played out like we're just bringing back the old character to bring you fans in for a little while. And here are these new characters. And their hope was that we were going to fall in love with the new characters. And it didn't happen. And that was just due to poor writing.
Yeah.
Had nothing to do with anything else than poor writing and rushing stuff. And sometimes they might just think, well, we made it, so it's going to happen now. Well,
yeah, you can't just take some silly putty and stick it to the comics page, pull it back and go, hey, look, I made a copy. It's just like the original. You can't do that. You got to breathe some life into it. You got to make that character its own character. And that comes again with good writing. And I'm not a big fan of Rian Johnson's writing to begin with. I think he wrote himself into a corner in Looper and, bitched out in the last 15 minutes of that movie by violating all his own rules. He did the same thing with this movie as far as I'm concerned as well. And so, yeah, it's just, I don't think he's proven himself. And again, it's just the writing. It's the writing needs to be there, really does. Otherwise, you're getting crap. And not to say that any of the new writing out there is bad. By the way. Yeah, Time Cop. Yeah, not to say any of the new writing is bad. There's stuff out there that's being created, like John Wick. John Wick is awesome. It's creating a new world that's completely.
And they just brought that was back. That is a back to basics movie.
Yeah,
exactly. Straight up, we're gonna make a revenge movie with some guns and revenge. And that's it. And it was simple, and I think that's kind of God. If you want to get nostalgia for an old trend like the old '80s action movie, just modernize it a little bit, but don't too much.
Don't overthink it.
Don't overthink it. Yeah, and that's kind of what Star Wars was overthought. Yeah, this one had too many ideas, but and I'm out with Star Wars. I wasn't a giant fan anymore to begin with because of the prequels. It wasn't even The Force Awakens' fault or Disney or anything. It was George and his prequels. And now Star Wars to me is more bad than good. There's more bad than good.
Yeah.
And the best thing that came out was the animated series, which they're canceling now. And here, let's get back to some comments here.
So Isaiah Norton asks, I'm thinking about doing Movie Pass 2. Does it work at most theaters in the Bay? I'm in San Diego, so I don't know.
It does.
Does it? Okay.
It does.
Ghost World says, hey, you guys asked earlier what you want to see. You guys think about doing reviews for movies, games? We do some for some tentpole movies. For games, we don't, just because we don't have time to do it. We both have full-time jobs, so it's kind of. I know John is doing some game stuff. He's actually going to be doing a D&D, Dungeons and Dragons podcast here fairly soon, correct, Eric?
Yeah, he's getting something together. It's going to be mainly on Twitch. It'll be mirrored here and on our website. And he's getting a D&D group, and a lot of it are some of the guys are from, I guess, some big one that just ended, and they're going to take it somewhere else. I know nothing about D&D and all that stuff. I was too busy reading comics to play, and I sucked at D&D. I tried playing it a couple times, but
and for video games, I play Injustice 2. I play Destiny 2, but honestly, not enough to cover it.
We are ever expanding. We're a tiny little channel, but we got like the last couple months, we've gotten like 600 subscribers. So we're almost at 1,000 now.
Yeah.
Because back in June we were at like 300. And our plan at the end of the year, I think, was to be at like 500 subscribers. Because we do everything wrong. We show our faces. Our videos are really long. They're not well researched.
We make mistakes.
On deliveries in the middle of our videos. We just do absolutely everything. And we don't do short videos and nothing. So nothing. Yeah, no hour and 15-minute video is going to go viral, and that's fine. So I was like, if we get 500 subscribers and like 150,000 channel views, I'd be totally happy. Looks like we're going to get double that, which I'm totally stoked about. You guys are awesome, by the way. And we're just going to keep on. But because we're growing, we are in the next year looking to expand. So if somebody wants to maybe, I don't know, do game reviews on our channel, contact me.
Yeah,
that's all I can say is contact me if you guys want. If somebody else wants to do it, my oldest son plays a ton of video games. I might have him on. I definitely think that's something we can do next year. I think next year, and as far as movie reviews, the more I see, the more I will review, and Dennis will review. And we're going to start doing some comic stuff, but that'll probably be just on our Facebook. There's a ton of comic stuff out there that then people like Comics Division are so much better than I am at it. So I just refer you to Comics Division if you want a good comic book review.
Speaking of which, Comics Division asks, I think with CB Cebulski running the show, things are going to change, hopefully.
Yes.
Yeah. Hopefully he gets past his little Japanese name thing that was going on.
I think that's Bleeding Cool and a couple other sites wanting to. I think that's like a backlash because they in the culture war, Dennis, they took a loss with Axel Alonso being gone because that was an ally of a lot of those sites. Boy, I wish I could say what I know about Axel, but I can't. It was told to me in confidence, but boy, do I wish I could say it. Just a lot of stuff you hear is true.
Isaiah asks, by the way, are you all watching Van Helsing? It's been getting better and better each episode. Also, wouldn't mind hearing your all's reviews on the last new batch of DC animated movies. I don't watch Van Helsing, but I do watch Earp, the Wyatt Earp, not the Wyatt Earp, but Winona Earp, series. I've caught up on that, which is a lot of fun. I watch Z Nation. I watch a lot of stuff on Sci-Fi. I've been watching it on their app, so I've been catching up on some of that stuff. The DC animated movies, I'm finding every other one is good. It seems like they're bad.
Yeah, we'll do reviews. Definitely.
Those. Yeah.
I'll actually. It looks like I might have a couple weeks off here, and if we do that, I'm gonna do videos every day. And Van Helsing, I'm gonna check it out this weekend.
It's interesting. I've seen parts of it.
My wife has mentioned it, so it's something we're gonna have like 3 whole days off together. So we're just gonna watch TV and do YouTube videos. It's
and
great.
Mel and I were doing iZombie videos as well, and I guess we just didn't get a lot of views off of that, so we kind of stopped.
It is kind of old news now with the CB Cebulski thing. I think that's way in the rearview mirror. He's still in transition with the Starlin thing. God, I was kind of hoping that would get Tom. I can't say his last name, Brevert or whatever his name is. I was kind of hoping that would get him canned. Because that's bad optics. I know Starlin's a huge hothead and freaking rage quits Marvel all the time. That's nothing new. He's God, in the time I owned the comic shop, which was 10 years, he rage quit Marvel, I think 3 times, and rage quit DC once. So that's Starlin. But if it would have taken out Tom D-head Brevert, I would have been very happy, because I think having that guy still there is a problem. And I've had a problem with that guy even back to my comic shop days. I didn't like his act on Twitter. I love that this Twitter thing has finally gotten out there and there's people talking about it, and because it irritated the F out of me. Just with books being late, and you'd see Gail Simone tweeting away and her books are late, and some other artists who I won't mention because one of them's a friend of mine, but he's like tweeting away, but I know he's like 2 months behind on a book. It's like, dude. I'll never forget All-Star Batman and Robin with Jim Lee. You guys remember that? Did that ever finish?
It did finally finish.
Funny story told by our friend Jamie Newbold from San Diego, from Southern California Comics. Brilliant guy. He's on Punt Stars sometime. He is my mentor and like a dad to me.
He's actually now also, I just want to plug him real quick. He's also on the History Channel's new collectibles program. He is their comics guy.
Oh my God, I love Jamie. He's great. Ex-cop. He walks with kind of a limp because he's been shot multiple times. he told me that he was over at Wildstorm Studios checking out Jim Lee because they were buds, and he saw the All-Star Batman and Robin pages on the floor being walked on by a cat or a dog. It was a cat, I think. Jim Lee's cat was like walking all over the pages, and they were just like spread out all over the floor. So if you hear that like guys just forget about books and not give a shit, they don't a lot. It's I've got stories, man. Maybe we'll do story time with retail. You know, I can just lose friends and tell some stories to get views. That'd be bad. I think Braver will be out next year. God, I hope so. I hope so. I don't
He'll be back
him.
like herpes.
I know. Yeah. He's been around forever and he used to do a good job, but I swear to God, since Quesada took over, he got obnoxious for some reason. I think he got more power. DNC has said it on his videos that people rise to their talents, but sometimes they get promoted a little too high. And I've definitely seen that. It's a great example is I had a computers teacher in junior high who was like the nicest guy in the world, and they made him vice principal, and he started walking around like Napoleon with his hand in his shirt, and he started dressing different, and he had a big old power trip, and yeah, Van Riley, I'll never forget that guy. So yeah, shit goes to people's heads, and I think it went to his head. I know it did. Oh man, man, we've been going on for a long time, Dennis.
Yeah.
Man, we can talk.
Yes, we can.
I am totally stoked that everybody, Comics Division and Ghost World, you guys, and Isaiah, you guys were awesome. By the way, you added you
And
made
Veronica
podcast, and Veronica, you made this podcast better. Okay, because we would have run out of talking. So great questions, man, and I love that Ghost World was being respectful and siding with Star Wars. We wanted to have John on, our other co-host, because he likes Star Wars. We wanted to have a pro Star Wars person on to have a debate. Scheduling conflict again. John is a world traveler or a California traveler. He's either in Tahoe or LA every other day. Who knows? Does
he work anymore?
John is he is so talented. Money just finds its way into his pocket and his bank account. I honestly don't know what he does. He's working on his other podcast and he works with us. In the meantime, he's just living a good life. That John Reed. Yeah, you and me, we got to work.
I know, really. I think we're caught up on the comments, right? Oh, there we go.
I think we are. I think The Last Jedi and had a ton of problems, but I still really big fan. Okay, I don't want to put you in the wrong light. Sorry about that. He's all, whoa, not a fan. Yeah, whoa. I said there's some good stuff in it. Let's not get carried away.
He says, but I could see its merits and more angry because I could see the potential. Yeah, we are too. I mean, we could see the potential, and that's what we're saying is that there was a lot of good stuff that was there. It just wasn't acted on. It wasn't capitalized. And it's not that we're saying that we can make a better story. It's just, work with what you got, man, and make the best story possible and think it through.
Take 3 years, please. I wish they would delay. Like I say, I'm probably out. It depends on the trailers and stuff. I don't think I'm gonna see it, but it's not too late. You can fix it. If JJ comes in and goes, Luke just disappeared to the other hut, he's actually still alive, and then gives him I'd be fine with that. If you retcon that within the trilogy, go for it. It's worth a shot. What the hell?
You know what it was? He actually used the Force for one of those speed runs because he had to go to the bathroom because he had to go to the bathroom because
he was there so long.
He's incontinent and needed to pee, so he had to force run over to the bathroom, and he left his cloak behind.
Yeah. Oh my God. With Rey, if Rey had gone to the dark side, I thought that would have been really cool. I would have been like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
And there were a couple scenes that were told, like the hyperspace thing with the purple haired lady going through the worst admiral in the history of Star Wars. She's like your mom. I'm doing it because I want to. Go over there because I told you to. That's my reason. but that hyperspace scene where it goes through the ship, that was awesome. And the effects were great for the most part. There was some bad CG too, but I think that's because they only took 2 years. So considering it took 2 years, the CG was phenomenal, I guess. Unless they were working on it beforehand. I have no idea.
I still say Chewie should have bit into the pork.
Yes. Yeah. Another missed opportunity right there. So again, I want to pump the brakes. There, Jeff Gordon, right? Sorry, I should have read that. And then veering off to the left field with it, Leia. Hyperspacing through the ship, LOL. Leia, pump the brakes there, Jeff Gordon. Yeah, pump the brakes there, Jeff. Totally. I need to pump something that I pumped earlier in the podcast. So for our Happy recap, by the way, you guys should be watching Happy. I don't know if you read the comic. You should definitely read the comic. Way better than I thought it was going to be. It is a great show. It is funny. It is dark. It is like the most non-PC thing out there. It's got like actual hookers being hookers, not like the sage, like angels that they are. Although the hooker's name is Angel in this, but she's no angel. Okay.
Yeah, we've had sex and blowjobs in 2 out of the 3 episodes that have happened.
Well, we had the scene from the book where she's giving a blowjob to a guy in the lobster outfit. Yeah, it's that, and then he gets
prawn outfit. That's right, the
prawn. Sorry, prawn.
And so also as a teddy bear with fangs. As a teddy.
So I don't know if you guys missed this. I'm going to pump it again real quick. So Derek sent us like a gift pack for the Happy. So anybody who comments on Happy, their name is going to go to a hat. We're going to contact them, and they're going to win these prizes, which is an original sketch by Derek Robertson right there of Happy. Then he signed Happy 1 through 4 with all the variants, and you get a little sketch of Happy right there. By the way, Happy completely 100% designed by Derek. Grant Morrison just said, design me something. Okay. I don't think Derek gives enough credit. So here are the rest of the comics. And then you also get Art of the Boys signed by Derek Robertson. And he sent all this stuff. Because he's the freaking man, dude.
And Comics Division, if that hasn't sold you enough as well, you get to see Christopher Maloney's naked ass in all 3 episods.
All 3 episodes, you get some Maloney butt.
It's wrong, but it's also funny at the same time.
It's wrong, yeah, especially the last episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely watch that show. I was gonna shill for it anyway because it was my bud, but I actually am really into the show now. It might be one of my favorites. It's if you like Ash vs. Evil Dead, you're gonna love this show.
Yeah.
Okay. I think they're in the same.
If you
Ash is better. Okay, don't get me wrong. Bruce Campbell is God. So.
And if you like Preacher, this is actually better than Preacher. But
it's better than Preacher. It's better.
It's faster. And also, if you like Crank, because it's actually by one of the directors of Crank.
Yeah, Brian Taylor. And Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance.
Yes, and Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance. But Crank especially, it has that same vibe of Crank. Same kinetic energy.
Yes, and actual crank.
Yes.
Which is what we used to call meth back in the day.
Yes.
It's that stuff I used to sell in high school. There's a statute of limitations on that, right?
I think so.
Hopefully. Yeah. It doesn't matter. I've done my time. All right. Any final words there, Dennis?
No, that's pretty much. I think we've covered everything. Again, let us know in the comments. Our comments here disappear after the live stream is done, so please comment on the YouTube comment section when you're done. Once this comes into video, the form, I should say, and let us know what you want to see, what you're interested in. I know you've mentioned a little bit about movies and video games, but be specific too. If there's TV shows out there that you want us to take a look at, definitely by all means. Van Helsing. I know Gary's going to look into that. I've looked into it a little bit. And anything else you guys want to see? So, and where can you find us at, Gary?
You can find all of our audio podcasts and videos at nerdrotic.com. That's our home base. We're also right here on the Nerdrotic channel. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, hit the bell. We are also on iTunes. If you got the iTunes, we're also on Podomatic and SoundCloud. I believe we're on SoundCloud too. A little behind on the SoundCloud. I got to get caught up on that. We're also on Facebook. Dennis runs our Facebook. He's our news guy. It's facebook.com/Nerdrotic podcast. And we're on Twitter. I am at Nerdrotics. And Dennis is at DaForce, DaForce. John Reed is at John Reed 16. My wife is at Agent Bossy Boots. My wife's name is Melissa. She joins us once in a while. She's a hairdresser. She's awesome. And we are, we're going to put a little ad together because we are kind of looking for a couple more hosts because things are opening up. And again, we have day jobs, but we want to put more content on the site. And
we want to cover diverse things too. I mean, like I said, this is all stems from when we used to just talk together and talk to people in the comic book store. And that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be just a simple hanging out, talking about things and what you're interested in. Pretty much anything and everything.
Yeah. And in the future, in January, I definitely want to pump this. We're going to get some pros on to join us live that you can ask questions of. And Derek will be the first, Derek Robertson.
Nice.
Then we got Monic, and we got some other pros we can get into. Maybe I can get a hold of Ben Templesmith. I don't know. He's kind of hard to get a hold of, but that's possible. So I know just from owning the store, I know a couple pros, and they would definitely come on and answer your question. I think that'd be fun. Do a little chat with some pros. Yeah. So
definitely. And hey, Ghost World, and Isaiah, he says, thanks for making my cold ass BART ride home so much more bearable. Y'all are awesome. Thank you for watching.
What's up, homie? He's in the Bay Area.
Yep. And Ghost World, thanks guys. I'm so freaking glad I found this tiny slice of the internet. Thank you guys for checking us out and subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, there's a little bell right over here. Ding, hit that bell. Tell your friends. We do want to hit that 1,000 mark.
We're almost at 1,000.
We're almost there. We've got like 40 some on more people to go.
That's crazy.
And
so much fun. And Ghost World, I don't know, do you have a channel? If you're not, but I know Comics Division does. And subscribe to Comics Division, by the way. I'm going to pump that guy all the time. Love his stuff. That definitely. Maybe we could do a show at Spotlight Comics, review smaller, more indie, unknown comics. Totally. Yeah.
We've been talking about that for a while there.
Yeah, that's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's going to happen. That will happen. All right. We could meander on forever. Again, thank you everybody for watching. You are awesome. Dennis, please take us out.
Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out, America and the rest of the world.
May the small folks sing songs of your greatness. Good night, everybody. See you next Friday.